in Virginia on Monday night. Learn anything?
Yeah, you know, the more you look at Virginia, the more you realize they're a great club, and they can get left-handed. They have the flexibility to be left-handed and right-handed against you. They started 5 left-handed hitters against the right-handed pitcher from Army. So just watching them on film, they're a great club. They don't make mistakes. They're very good at home, and you know, it'll be a great challenge for our club, but certainly it's something our kids are looking forward to.
You feel like
7 guys hitting over 300 in that lineup. What do they do well offensively with their style?
Well, you know, they're hitting over 300 in the ACC play. They're hitting over 300 for the year. You know, I just think it's a really solid club. The other thing that jumps out at you is they don't strike out a ton, and they walk a ton. You know, so they get the on-base component. They're you know, they're a really solid club defensively, and you know, the pitching part of it's just really solid. You know, they really pitch to early contact, and you know, I mean, is it 50 and 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's not an accident. I mean, there's reasons, there's components that build that process to allow that to happen, and certainly, you know, again, they've been dynamite at home.
you feel like their ballpark plays to your strength, John, and your identity?
Well, certainly, you look at the numbers. Either one or two things is happening in their ballpark. Either the ballpark plays big, or the pitching has been dominant in their ballpark. It's probably a combination of both. So yeah, I mean, there's no secret that we're pretty comfortable in a bigger environment. I thought that hurt us a little bit at Florida State last year, but that's part of being a good ball club, is adapting to your environment, and I think our kids. Again, I think they're very aware of the ballpark, and you know, baseball is one of those really tight-knit communities where our players, because of the people they played with and against and their friends in the baseball community, they probably know a lot more about that ballpark than we do, because they're constantly texting, tweeting, you know, their friends, talking to their friends.
Any thoughts of pitching plans at this point? Still evaluating?
Yeah, I you know, I'm not really ready to commit to that, but I'm anticipating that Kendall will start game 1, just looking at the matchup and on film. You know, I would anticipate it'll be Kendall, but you know, we're not going to pull the trigger on that quite yet, just because we don't have to. But that's probably the direction we'll go.
You mentioned the fact that this is being a best of 3. You don't approach this like a series. I mean, everybody's available.
Yeah, everybody's available for sure. But certainly, you know, things change from week to week. You know, who's hot in your lineup, who's hot on the mound for you. We certainly do not want to leave Charlottesville without Chad Gerardo pitching. I mean, that changes things. You don't want to leave town without Jonathan Holder pitching. You know, we feel that Trevor Pitts is somebody who's, you know, really. I thought he was brilliant the other night. We did not defend behind him, but I thought he was fantastic. So, yeah, I think we have some options for sure.
You know, Kendall talked last week about he feels like he's getting back to the form he had earlier in the year, and I guess you saw that his last outing.
Yeah, I thought he was great. I think Kendall's one of those guys who just he's just an unbelievable competitor. You just want him on the mound because you know, our kids believe in him so much. And I'm not saying that we have kids that, you know, our other players don't believe in, because I think they believe in everybody on our pitching staff. But Kendall's a senior. He's a captain. He wants a baseball, and you know, certainly I think he got us off to a good start in the regional.
They're top 10 in doubles, and I think top 3 in triples. Is there anything defensively that you can do to kind of combat that? Or?
Yeah, don't let them hit doubles and triples. You know, really work to the bottom and see if you can get, you know, ground balls, big hot ground balls, and let your infielders work. And you know, they're a really solid team. And I think the thing that's interesting the most about their team is, if you look at the preseason stuff, you know, they were not one of those clubs picked to be one of those top 8, you know, 50-win types of team. But certainly that's what they've become, and there's a reason for that.
Your pitching staff, I know they got a couple of left-handed starters, 2 or 3 guys. Their main relievers are left-handed, so how does that affect your thinking?
Well, again, having 2 switch possibilities in our lineup really helps our cause, and I think you know, the other thing is that we do have some flexibility with some other guys too. But you know, when some of your best hitters are left-handed hitters, you know, you're not going to mess with that. And, you know, sometimes some left-handers, you see this a lot in our league, are much more effective versus right-handed hitters than they are left-handed hitters.
Yeah.
So, you know, we'll look at all the matchups there and all the splits, the statistical splits, but, this is that time of year where statistical analysis, sometimes you know, it can drive you crazy because it just, you know, you pitch to that, you plan for that, and then all of a sudden it doesn't play out that way because of adrenaline, because of, you know, the nature of this part of the season.
Look at the past experience 2 years ago, Super Regional, and a lot of those guys are back for this experience. How much do you count on those guys just to tell the other guys, okay, this is, you know, we're going on the road, big series, this is what to expect?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you look, you know, CT obviously was played in a Super Regional and was most valuable player in a regional. You know, certainly Frazier was there. I mean, you're right. We have a lot of components, a lot of kids, Kendall Grayman, who were on that team that lost in Gainesville, and I'm sure that left a bitter taste in their mouth. And, you know, more than anything, I don't think it's the negative of the past. I think it's the positive of, you know, Omaha is 2 games away. You know, I mean, it's 2 wins away. We're going to do everything that we possibly can to try and win 2 games, and so is Virginia, and so are the 16 other teams that are still playing baseball. And that's what our kids want. It's an elite group that gets to Omaha, and we want to be one of those groups. It's going to take some really timely things happening. It's going to take some good fortune, and so, you know, sometimes those things don't happen on the road, but you don't want to force it to happen either. You just keep playing the game, stay in your identity, remember what got you, you know, the 46 wins that we have right now, and you know, believe in our club, and our kids certainly do that.
For folks not familiar with Virginia, John, because they're not in your league, what is the appreciation around college baseball, what Brian O'Connor and that staff that stayed together has done?
Yeah, I think they've done a great job, and you know, one of the things I always look at is, because I went through this at Kentucky, I look at a roster, and they've done it with northern kids, and, you know, people who are really arrogant, you know, from the deep south or from, you know, or from the West Coast. They think that, you know, all the great players come from the deep south or Florida or Texas or the West Coast. Boy, is that not the case. I mean, Brian's done a great job and a staff of getting great players from, you know, the northeastern corridor of the United States, and I mean, they're really good players, and there's no question those kids can play. And I think they've had a plan all along, and they've stayed with their plan, and you know, they've been very successful with that. So I'm a big fan of what they've done. I think sometimes, and you know, you look at the latitude or the longitude of you know, Virginia and Kentucky is very similar, and you know, you can say, man, I gotta have deep South players to compete in a Southern league, or I gotta have, you know, West Coast players. I gotta have this or that. The bottom line is you need players that fit with what the identity of your club is, and that, you know, I'm a huge fan of what they've done up there. They have an outstanding program.